Today I'm taking on the bold challenge of making Oinkologne destroy some stuff, and here's how. First of all, it's not going to be easy when you take a look at this thing's stats. In classic early game normal type fashion, it's downright bad. But it does have 100 attack, and that's hopefully going to allow it to get a little bit going with some gimmick help. The best thing Oinkologne can do is pig out, obviously. We can go for a Stuffed Cheeks, which immediately consumes its health berry, and gives it a +2 to defense. The Salic Berry at the same time gives us +1 to speed, and with a Jolly Nature with maxed out EVs, we're actually pretty damn fast. Terra Ghost works really well to try to open a position defensively to get this all going, and then it's time to throw out damage with Stab Body Slam along with Body Press, which now hits pretty hard thanks to the Stuffed Cheeks defense boost. Its ability Thick Fat can randomly help out in terms of having damage from fire and ice moves against us, and then I'm going to go ahead and round things out with Thief, which allows us to hit ghost types, but it's also kind of funny in stealing the opponent's item since we consumed ours already. Piggy take. So now it's time to go ahead and make people fear the bacon. You guys remember when Lechonk was first revealed? The entire world went absolutely crazy for the thing. For about 3 weeks, it was everybody's favorite Pokemon, and it was in memes, it was literally everywhere. We fast forward 3 years later, which first of all is insane to think about. But we find out that the thing evolves into Oinkologne, and it sucks, and it's ugly. Nobody likes Oinkologne, dude. Everybody, all of the Lechonk lovers all of a sudden just absolutely disappeared. And you gotta feel bad for my boy here. But I never went away. Look, I've been an Oinkologne enjoyer since the start. No, I mean, not actually. But today we're gonna show the thing some love, and it can do some absolutely hilarious nonsense. And that's what the pig's all about. Look, if that sounds like a fun time to you, consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm always messing around with weird Pokemon around here. And before we jump into the hopeful pig destruction that Oinkologne will provide, I want to tell you a thing or two about today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. Look, if you're using the internet these days in the big 2025 without a VPN, you may as well be clicking Stuffed Cheeks with no berry. There are tons of benefits to using a VPN, but online safety is the biggest upside. Surfshark offers industry-leading online security with top-grade encryption that complies with the strictest security measures and allows you to browse the web worry-free of any of your data getting stolen. Price discrimination is also one of my favorite benefits. When you browse the web searching for flights, hotels, or even everyday stuff, websites will use your data to serve you prices they want you to pay based on your location. But when you pop on the Surfshark, you'll often notice cheaper prices, which is amazing. The best part is that one Surfshark subscription allows you to use the VPN on unlimited devices, so everything you've got is totally covered. There's also Surfshark Antivirus, which shields your devices from viruses, malware, and tracking of ad companies. You can get real-time protection with immediate notifications if you download anything sketchy, and you can regularly schedule some scans to have some nice peace of mind. Definitely go ahead and check out Surfshark with my link in the description, or go to surfshark.com/Haydunn and use code Haydunn at checkout for 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN, along with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And with that, let's get back into the battle. Alright, so my opponent is going to go ahead and decide to lead off with the Pissimian, but he's got his ball or melon or whatever the hell type of orb this thing's got to ponder, and I have 3 orbs. I've got the Sandy Shocks here. First of all, I'm going to be able to get my Photosynthesis, and that's important because it's going to give me a speed boost, which even if this Pissimian is Choice Scarf, which I kind of always imagined Pissimian to be, for some reason, he just looks like a Choice Scarf guy. A lot of the time functions really well with that, so I will be able to outspeed with my speed boost there, just being naturally faster. As I set up some Stealth Rock here, they're just going to take this opportunity to bot me with a close combat. They potentially could have had an Earthquake there. I opted just to get the Stealth Rock up. But at this point, I figure, you know what? I don't have a whole lot that wants to deal with that. I go for the Thunderbolt, and it turns out Buddy's holding the invisible Focus Sash. It somehow lives it with 1. And then finishes me off with another close combat. So that is not ideal. I at least got my Stealth Rock up. I got some big damage on the guy. And now as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking to myself, you know what I could do? I could go right into the Oinkologne. Here's the situation. First of all, Pissimian knows it can't switch back in just due to that Stealth Rock being up. And my plan is to lay this Oinkologne out here like a nice plate full of crispy, delicious smelling bacon, being like, you know you would love to just click that close combat, grab yourself a slice, treat yourself, Pissimian. I really want to bait them into that close combat, and for that reason, I go for the Terra Ghost. We go Danny Phantom all up on that ass, and I'm really hoping that this thing is a Choice Scarf, so it's just stuck in close combat. It turns out they do take the bait perfectly. They go for the close combat. Piggy Smalls is having absolutely none of that, and that is going to give me a free turn to go ahead and engorge myself with a little Salic Berry action. I go for that Stuffed Cheeks. It's not only going to go ahead and double my defense, but also gives me the speed boost. And now this thing is definitely stuck. It can't stay in and go for a close combat if that's what it wants to do. So I decide, you know what? I'm going to go for a thief. We're a tricky little pigster over here. I can go for a thief on whatever they swap in. Turns out it is going to be the Galvantula, who does take some big chip from that stealth rock. But now since I'm itemless, I can be like, what are you working with over here, buddy? I'm going to steal that. I take the focus sash from him, and that's actually really cool because I'm at full health over here. Not only that, but I can just outspeed a Galvantula at +1 speed. Oinkologne gets those tubby pig legs going, and we're able to then finish off the Galvantula with a little body slam. So, well, that's all good and well. They now end up switching back into Passimian, probably being like, now I can just knock off. Nope, you just die to the stealth rock. So that is, that's an ideal turn for our weird pig friend here. I feel like I would like Oinkologne more if it wasn't for this weird tail buddy's working with. But regardless, here's the thing. They now go into a Chi-Yu, and this could be bad if Chi-Yu is Choice Scarf. I mean, I still can live a Dark Pulse on Focus Sash, but it turns out it's not Scarfed. At +1, Oinkologne is able to outspeed the Goldfish. Not only that, but with the +2, a super effective body press is going to take care of the frail fish, and that thing is a massive threat. So hilarious that I get the Oinkologne to take care of it, and we're not done yet. I'm feeling like I could take this pig all the way here. They now go into a Crawdon. I can get a super effective body press on that, but somehow this thing has a freaking built-in invisible Focus Sash also. It lives it with 1. That allows him to go for the knockoff. It does just do a ton of damage there. It puts me in range for an Aqua Jet, which is wildly unfortunate. They can then pick me off with that jet. I was really hoping that maybe that was choice banded damage, but in the long run, +2 defense really only goes that far. But anyway, I mean, for the most part though, I'm proud of the Oinkologne. We get some big shenanigans going with the thing, and while the game is not quite over, we at least bust some big holes in the squad, and we can make it a little easier for us. So I now decided to bring in Mabasta, because if you thought I wasn't using enough random Gen 9 shit mines, I got this thing also. I do this because, first of all, if they stay in and they go for an Aqua Jet, I can take it, which they do. But it's always fun to kind of pressure with the stakeout. This thing's ability, it's big damage on opponents that switch out on it, so I figure I'd click the crunch and have a nice time doing it. But also important to note, this battle turned into sunset like in the middle of it. I don't know if that's ever happened before, but it's kind of lit. The sky's all orange and we're having a beautiful time out here. What's not beautiful, however, is the fact that they still have a Coma-O left. And this thing is incredibly scary. Not only because I'm freaking scarfed into crunch on the thing, but also because it does this. It goes for the Clangorous Soul, which is an insane move. It would be broken enough on its own if it just gave you its +1 to every single stat at the cost of just a little bit of HP. But not only that, it also is able to activate a Throat Spray because it's sound-based. And just like that, the damn guy is now at +1 everything, +2 special attack. But I have myself the most random ever assault vested Slowbro. I bring in this thing because I'm like, dude, I can take, as long as it's not like a super crazy Terra normal boosted boom burst, I'm able to eat that up. Thank God. Shout out to the assault vest. Allows me to then fire off a psychic, which then takes care of it. And that's a crisis averted situation there. That could have gotten a little bit out of hand, honestly, if Slowbro wasn't able to tank that with his nice little vest. Final Pokemon of theirs is going to end up being Swalot, which is great if you're a psychic type Slowbro. So they just end up heading out. And that is going to be the end of the game on that one. All glory goes to the Oinkologne, and that's kind of hilarious. It's given me faith in the set, and we're going to see if we can take this baby even a little bit further, because we got a second match here. And look, if you've stuck around this far into the video, you might as well hit the like button. I can tell you haven't clicked it yet. Go ahead and do me a favor, smash that thing. It just helps out the channel for whatever reason. I don't know. All the cool YouTubers are doing it, I got to say it too. So with that, let's go ahead and just jump into this next match. All right, so this time my opponent is going to lead off with an Emboar. I'm like, what gives you the gall to think you can also pull up with a pig? Bro's got the extra spicy bacon, and as I lead with a Decidueye, that's not ideal for me. I immediately have to get the hell out of here, and I'm like, this town's only big enough for one oink, and that's mine. So I decided to bring in the Slowbro, because first of all, I'm not going to switch into a Wild Charge, hopefully. Turns out they go for the Flame Charge, different type of charge, much better for Slowbro, because I know that as long as I can take at least one Wild Charge, right? I'm always afraid of this thing's crazy random ass electric coverage, but I go for the Psychic here, knowing that they probably are baited into just clicking it. I should be able to take at least one of them. It doesn't do a whole lot, and especially after some recoil, I'm like, you know what? This is probably going to knock it out with a Psychic. This is max special attack on the guy, and that is going to be able to take care of it. So down goes the Emboar, and if that thing started to stack some speed boost, could have gotten a little crazy, but no longer have to worry about that. And at this point, we're sitting duck for a revenge switch in, which is scary because in comes friggin' Venomoth. So this guy's going all terrain. There's two things you got to worry about when it comes to a Venomoth. First of all, Sleep Powder. They're probably going to powder. Second of all, could go for a Quiver Dance. And for that reason, I decided to go into the Tinkaton. Now, this is a ridiculous ass Tinkaton you'll see here in a second. Now, it turns out they do just click the Bug Buzz. That's fine. I figure, if they want a Quiver Dance in my face, I have a Mirror Herb, and that would be quite satisfying to steal that Quiver Dance boost. But I mean, in the long run, Tinkaton just has a good defensive matchup anyway, so they make the smart play and they swap out. But I click the flatter, and this is, you guessed it, a special attacking Tinkaton, which is almost the funniest Pokemon to turn into a special attacker, because it's like, this thing's whole thing is bonking people physically with a hammer, but not this girl. She doesn't give a damn. I go for the flatter because that's going to go ahead and confuse them, gives them a +1 to special attack, and then my Mirror Herb is going to copy that. So now at +1 special attack, I'm like, this is fine. I can go for a Flash Cannon, which hilariously enough shoots out of the hammer, and it does over half, which is sweet. And now I'm just basically like, okay, Confusion, go ahead and do your thing. It smacks itself in Confusion, which is like a amazing wombo combo when it comes to this shit set. But at this point now, I can just go for another Flash Cannon. They do stay in, and that's going to be enough to take care of a Dreadnought. So that is one of a few crazy setup sweepers that could go for Shell Smashes, and love to see it. So at this point on the revenge, they go into Hariyama. Now Hariyama, I'm thinking could just have an Earthquake here, but I'm like, I'm already this far. A Draining Kiss isn't going to do much. This thing's special attack is ass, but I go for it anyway because I'm like, look, I got this far. I'm at +1 special. I might as well use Homegirl. And it also turns out to be Rocky Helmet. So nothing like smooching a pointy helmet. That hurts. Turns out they do have the Headlong Rush. That is going to take care of the Tinkaton. But I mean, at least I was able to take care of a Dreadnought. That's kind of a win when you're using a special Tinkaton, and you love to see it. So at this point, now I've got the upper hand in terms of initiative to switch in here. And I'm like, who wants to come in? Guess who enjoys just baiting fighting types? For some reason today, it seems like that's what Piggy Smalls is all about. I bring this thing in, we're feeling emo. You kind of got to admit, bro's rocking that "if tonight will be the night that I will fall for you." And over again. I don't know why I am the way that I am. But what I do know is I'm for sure going to click that Ghost Terror on this bitch. They're definitely going to go ahead. And again, the bacon is enticing. You want to click the fighting move, and I can go for that free Ghost Terror. And as long as I get up a Stuffed Cheeks for free, I'm feeling relatively decent. Now, the bad news is they could just go ahead and predict it and go for the knockoff, which honestly would be a pretty good play. But I bust out the Stuffed Cheeks, and while the knockoff no longer has an item to knock off, they just click the Drain Punch anyway, and that's pretty sweet because now we're sitting at +1 speed, +2 defense. You know the drill. And we're feeling nourished and ready. The stomach may be full, but the appetite for destruction is just getting going, because as they switch out the Hariyama here, they end up going back into Venomoth, which is fine. They're probably thinking Body Press, but I just go for a Body Slam, and that one way or another, this body's gonna get on you. That does a ton of damage. Not only that, but I can then outspeed. One more Body Slam is gonna do it, and you have been sat on by the pig, and that is gonna be a dead Venomoth. So again, that's a big sweeper out of the way. No more Quiver Dance shenanigans. But here comes a pretty large problem, and that's going to be the Meowscarada. So this is a really interesting matchup because at +1 speed, I have a speed tie going on with this thing. We're both at 192 if it's not Scarfed. It turns out they go for the Play Rough because that's going to turn them into a Fairy type, which then allows them to take a Body Press just fine. However, since I have +2 defense, I can take Play Roughs all damn day long. And I feel like this thing is probably Choice Scarf, so it's just going to outspeed every time. I can then go ahead. They miss another Play Rough, which is sick because then a Body Slam almost puts it in range for the knockout. And knowing that they're probably just locked into Play Rough, they didn't want to go for a knockoff, which is fine by me. I know that I can take I could have taken at least one of them, considering especially I don't have an item anymore, but that's going to be able to allow me to finish off the Meowscarada and one of the scariest things out of the way. So that's pretty damn nice. Now, as they bring back in Hariyama, this thing can likely just go for a knockoff. They don't have really many other options. Plus, since this thing's pretty damn thick, it can live a Body Slam here. So I outspeed, I go for the Body Slam anyway, hoping for maybe a Para. It does not quite do it. It does also take some Rocky Helmet chip. And then as they just go for the Headlong Rush, that does nothing. +2 defense Oinkologne is the GOAT out here. Base 75 defense does not matter when you're the GOAT. This thing may look like a pig, but it's actually based on a GOAT. Now, they end up going for the Bullet Punch here just to get some damage off before they die, which is actually annoying because as I do finish it off with a Body Press, I was like, does that put me in range to die from the Rocky Helmet? Fun part is about this game, sometimes they just don't show you when you take chip. I'm like, am I alive or dead? Nope, I'm dead. The Rocky Helmet is going to be enough to finish me off, which is annoying. So, I mean, hey, that's one way to go down, though. The Oinkologne, you can't kill me, I kill myself. So that's pretty nice. Now, the game is not quite over. As we've gotten rid of some pretty big threats, I decided, again, to just go into a Mabosstiff. Their final Mon is going to be the Espathra, so obviously I go into the Mabosstiff here. And this thing, I'm like, should I Destiny Bond? Now it might go for crazy Calm Mind stuff, so I go for the Choice Scarfed freaking Crunch. It is going to allow me to outspead. Funny part is I get a defense drop, and then it activates a berry, which turns out to be a plus defense berry. It's a key berry. Now, the reason why they go for that is probably because it's a stored power set, but they just have to click a Dazzling Gleam to try to you know, get as much damage as possible is super effective. I can take at least one of them without a calm mind. And as it does get a speed boost, I'm Choice Scarp. So I'm able to end up outspeeding. And most people are running not max speed on a speed boost as Spathra because you're just planning on getting a couple speed boosts. And that pays off for us because that allows us to take it out. And that is a satisfying ending to yet again another Oinkologne friggin' generational showing. And you love to see it. I love stuffed cheek sets. For some reason, they're really fun. But that's now going to bring us into one more match here because we're having too much fun with this complete, you know, nonsensical team. We're also, it just so happens that we're now going up against a team that has like what, 5 parrot freaking, like everything here is scary. I mean, it's literally got all, might as well be legendary. And that's not a great sight to see if you're working with what I've got, but it's fine. I have a pig and we're primed and ready. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and immediately deal with the threat that is Iron Valiant. And I actually feel pretty decent about that because as I go Sandy Shocks, we're a couple of Paradox fellas, and I'm thinking to myself, does this thing have, Iron Valiant gets every move, but I'm like, does this thing have anything that can OHKO me? I don't think it does. I go ahead and get my Photosynthesis, and since that thing is not rocking any Photosynthesis, I'm gonna be faster, which is great. Gonna allow me to set up my Stealth Rock, that should punish some switching, and they have a lot of stuff that doesn't super enjoy that. So I get my rocks up, and at this point, they just go ahead and they fire off a Moonblast, which feels good. It is going to go ahead and reveal probably just mainly special attacking. I can take that with 69. Nice. And I can then also grab some damage for the road. It turns out, though, they're going to go for a Terra. I'm like, if for some reason this thing goes Terra Ground to avoid a Thunderbolt, I'm going to throw my Switch out the window. But it does turn out to just be Terra Fairy for what appears to be absolutely no reason at all, because that doesn't change anything defensively or offensively as they're already in range to kill me with a Moonblast. So that's cool. I get a big Thunderbolt off, which is just gonna do a huge chunk and make this thing a lot easier to deal with. Now a Moonblast just, I guess, especially kills me because it was at a below half, but down goes the Sandy Shocks, and honestly that seems like pretty good value to get Stealth Rock up, grab some chip on a Valiant, and now I can go into whatever. So one thing I've been working with is this Necrozma, which is actually very fun. It allows me, I can pretty much get up an easy Dragon Dance on stuff, but I need to just neutralize this asshole because I figured they're probably just going to go ahead, click the Moonblast, which they do. It's going to get big damage, but the great part is this Necrozma about thick as hell. Allows me to go ahead and fire off a Geyser, and that's going to take care of the Valiant, which feels like a tremendous, it feels like I'm killing 2 Mons there when I also get rid of a Terra. So that, while, you know, it's a 5-5 match at this point, I feel like I have the upper hand because now they can't click anything, can't Terra anything. So that's nice. And while they have the Revenge Switch in, they can go into the Chien Pao, aka Chien Poo. Everybody's rocking with the shiny Treasure of Ruin guys just because they're available. It is going to come in here. I'm worried about, in general, that I don't have much use for a Slowbro here. I'm like, nothing really wants to switch into Chien Pao. And as much as I know, you know, Dark cover Stabbage is coming here, I'm like, I might as well just go Slowbro. Because looking at everything on their team has a pretty good answer to Slowbro. And I'm like, if anything can just suffer a sack switch, probably gonna have to be the Slowbro this time. So I come in, he takes a bite out of me and I die. So that's a bad day to be a pink hippo, but it is at least gonna open the door to hopefully get something going with one of my threats here. So I decided to go into Breloom. Now a lot of the time this is obviously, if you haven't seen the Breloom video, definitely check it out. This is a Breloom that I try to bring in to just like pressure people with the prospect of a Mach Punch. Now, it turns out they go for an Ice Shard, and that does a ton. It does at least allow me to set up a substitute with 4 HP, and I don't know why people are leaving. I mean, they probably just thought an Ice Shard would get close to killing there, but a Mach Punch, 4 times super effective. I'm not leaving a Chien Pao against that, but, you know, but he's got balls of steel. So, good thing is, at this point, I can click Focus Punch, which is mainly the reason why I've been using this Breloom. I just wanted to use a sub punch set, and as they do just knock out the sub with an Ice Shard, bad news for them, I'm winding up a big old knuckle sandwich to just destroy this thing. You know, it's kind of overkill at this point, but sometimes you gotta feel good about getting a Focus Punch off. So that is gonna end up knocking out the Chien Pao. I do kind of just basically give up Breloom for that because I'm so low at this point. I get some Poison Heal for the road, but I mean, you know, we're not feeling too healthy, and we're slower than literally their entire team. So, well, that kind of sucks. At least I take care of the Chien Pao. And now they're going to go into the Chi-Yu. Yet again, another shiny Swords of Treasures of Ruin, or whatever the hell these things are. But it takes some big Stealth Rock, which is the main reason why I wanted to get that up. But also, it would be nice to have a Sucker Punch. I have nothing to switch into this, and I just kind of got to let it happen. So I take some I never realized this thing like lights up its eye sockets to shoot off a flamethrower. That's kind of lit. I do go down to a flamethrower, and at least that's fine. I have now 3 Mons left, and they're all kind of, you know, not great. But, you know, Oinkologne has the power of friendship on its side, and also the power of people not knowing what the hell this thing's gonna do. So I go into the Oinkologne here, just because if it wants to flamethrower again, that's fine. I can take that, and then I can get off of Stuffed Cheeks, and you've seen what we can do to Chews. I've done it before. I go for that Stuffed Cheeks, the flamethrower does do some considerable chip, but also what they've failed to consider is that now my cheeks are stuffed, and I get that +1 speed, +2 defense, and it's game time. I can now go for a body press, and with that Stealth Rock chip, a body press is gonna knock out the Chi-Yu. And it's just really funny seeing this thing outspeed Chi-Yus. That's nice. So down goes another huge threat, and we're just rolling through them. What's also, not ideal is that this is the main thing that can take attacks here is going to be the Ogre Pond. The other two mons they have in the back is a King Gambit along with a Roaring Moon. So I'm like, dude, body press clears if I can get through this freaking mask guy. Now I go for the body press here just to get some damage. The great part is with that +2 defense, I can take a cudgel. And that is exactly what we needed, because now one more attack here is going to be able to just finish off the Ogre Pond, and that is incredibly satisfying. I just finished it with a body press, and a body slam. Regardless, you've been bodied by the Oinkologne, and that's all that matters. So now the final two mons going to be the King Gambit along with that Roaring Moon, and the best part about this King Gambit switch-in is they do not have the ability to go for a Terra, and I can just get off a body press. While I do have to potentially suffer a Sucker Punch, they just don't even go for it. It allows me to fire off the body press, and that is just gonna delete the thing, which is hilarious. So now final mon gonna be the Roaring Moon, and I'm actually looking at this thinking to myself, you know what? I probably still lose here, and that's because if this thing it can live a body press, and if it clicks Dragon Dance, it just outspeeds and knocks out everything else I have. I think at least. But I'm just gonna go for it anyway because there's nothing else to really do. I'm hoping maybe it knocks it out. Nope, it barely is able to live. I'm thinking, please do not Dragon Dance. Thank God they do not. They just go for the Dragon Claw. And while that does knock out the Oinkologne, that at least is going to open up the game to hopefully collect that dub because, Choice Scarf Mabostiff will be faster. Thank God. And as much as I give Mabostiff shit, it does actually come in pretty clutch. Now, the bad thing is I end up clicking Play Rough here because I'm like, please do not miss. There's a crunch kill. I don't know. I go for the Play Rough. I outspeed. It does connect, and that's gonna knock out the Moon. A crunch surely would have done the job, but that was just a ridiculous game against a nonsensical team. And whenever I can get Oinkologne to do something, you bet your ass it's getting included. So that is gonna do it for the video. Thank you guys very much for watching. I had a fun time with this one. Oinkologne is way more fun than I remembered it. I've used this set before, but a long time ago, and Oinkologne is sick. I'm tired of this lander, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.